Welcome back to another episode of the Ian Fritts Show. Week 6 is here. We're basically halfway through college football. Sad to say. Tears, I cried earlier. Halfway through, it's gone way too fast. Let's talk about it. Let's get into my
Oh,
picks.
he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable.
35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal.
Okay, first game up. Boom. Top 25 Texas A&M. Also shares a spot with UNLV. UNLV game is next. But we have top 10 Missouri going on the road to number 25 / number 26, Texas A&M. A&M is favored by 1 point in this game. This is a huge, huge football game for both teams. Okay, Texas A&M currently 2-0 in SEC play. Missouri 0-0. Have not played an SEC game. Also, Missouri is not favored in this game. You would think top 10 team in the country on the road against a number 25 team in the country. They would be favored. Not how it is. Not how it is. Okay. Now Missouri is coming off of a bye week. That is huge for the mentals, for the physicals, for basically everything. Okay, they're physically more rested than Texas A&M. Texas A&M came off a rivalry game with Arkansas. Yes, I put that in quotes because I'm not sure it's that heated because Texas A&M has won the last a million games in that series. Okay, I'm not sure how much of a rivalry it is, but we'll give it the air quotes. It's better than no rivalry at all. It's an air quote rivalry, so it has some credibility. But they're coming off the heated quotation rivalry game with Arkansas, while Mizzou is coming off rest. They got to sit on the couch last Saturday and watch football, which is what me and you do. They got to do what we did, while Texas A&M had to play another football game. That's huge, 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 especially for Missouri on the road. They're coming off a bye. They're going on the road. It would be much harder. I would assume this line would be 3-4 points higher if Missouri did not have a bye week last week. I think that is baked into this. Well-rested football team. Now, A&M. QB controversy. Okay, Marcel Reed has started the last couple games for them. They've won them both. Florida, Arkansas, 2-0 in SEC play for A&M. Okay. Now, Connor Wegman, the rumors are he should be healthy this week. Now, what is Mike Elko going to do? I, for one, am not sure. Now, who would I play? I think I would play Marcel Reed. Here's why. He's played 2 football games. He's won 2 football games. I'm not saying he's a better quarterback than Connor Wegman. However, right now, I think he's giving Texas A&M the best chance to win. And I think once he settles into that role, into that starting role, I think he's going to become a better passer down the field. He's missed some things. There were people calling for Colin Klein's job the past couple weeks down there in Texas A&M and College Station. Not me, because 1, I'm not a Texas A&M fan. 2, I don't do that. But the plays were there to be made. Marcel Reed just missed them. Now, I think that is fine for now. You can't be missing those against Missouri, and I'm not sure he will. I'm not sure he won't miss them, but I'm not just writing Marcel Reed off immediately. Okay, I think he's going to settle in. He obviously gives you dynamic ability with his legs, something that Connor Wegman really doesn't offer. Also, Connor Wegman is fragile. You touch him, he falls apart. So I wouldn't want that at my quarterback position, especially against this Missouri defense that has presumably still been really solid this year. Okay. Now, let's get into a little bit of the numbers before I tell you what the gut has said. Now, if you're new here, I only pick based on the gut. And if you look to my left here, which is technically my right, my left, your right, the record this year, 63-32-1. That is only based on the gut. I don't have these fancy models, these fancy game prediction websites that all these other people have. I go with the gut. Okay. And my gut has been phenomenal this year. Now, what that means is, boom, I look at the game on whatever website I'm looking at and I say, who am I going with? And that's who I go with. And then I look at all the numbers and everything. And I don't change my pick. Last year when I was doing this, I would change my pick every once in a while. And I have not done that this year. and I trust the gut, and it has excelled. Okay. So that's what we do with. Now, I still give you guys the numbers so you can make an informed decision. But for now, I would just go with the gut. But also, the numbers tell you what to watch for in this football game. So we'll dive into that. Missouri, eighth in scoring defense this year. Now, I don't think they have faced a prolific offense. However, they're facing the number 70 ranked offense in the country this week in Texas A&M. So they haven't faced a prolific offense. They're not going to face a prolific offense this week. So really, nothing has changed. We haven't seen them against a really good offense, and we're not going to this weekend. So I would expect the same Missouri defense to show up against Texas A&M this weekend. Now, Missouri has the number 19 rush defense in college football. A&M has the number 13 rush offense in college football. Bell, running back for Texas A&M, really, really good back. I think that if Texas A&M can continue to run the ball how they have all year, I think that is the path to success. I don't think they're going to magically become this prolific passing offense against Missouri. Okay? Missouri has had a solid pass defense all year. I'm not thinking Texas A&M, whose pass offense has been suspect at best all year, is going to magically find it against a really good Missouri secondary. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think Texas A&M is going to have to pound the ball. That's what they've done all year. I think they're going to have to do it against a Missouri defense that has had a really good rush defense all year. And if Missouri can stop it like they have, that's their path to success. But I think that's what it's going to come down to in this football game. A&M's rushing attack against Missouri. That's what I think it would come down to. That's what you should be watching for in this football game. Now, flip it over to the other side. Missouri, number 29 offense in the country. Texas A&M, number 34 defense in the country. That is basically as equal as you can get in college football. You have a strength for Missouri going up against a strength for Texas A&M. Well, Texas A&M, that is their strong suit. Missouri, they would tell you their defense is their stronger option, but both solid groups for both football teams. So Missouri's defense, Texas A&M's offense, Missouri's offense, Texas A&M's defense, to me, is kind of a wash. I think both sides of that football are going to do what they do. Luther Burden from Missouri, I think this is the game where we say, that's the guy we saw last year. That's the guy we were waiting for all year. I think this is the game where we find out if he's still that guy. P.S. He is still that guy. He just has been getting quadruple teamed, which is unheard of. Don't watch the tape. Now, Nick Scourton for Texas A&M, I think this is the game. He has been phenomenal all year for them, but this is the game where if he makes a statement, he could be getting a muffin sent his way. If you don't understand that, watch the show, and you will. Okay, what does the gut tell me? I looked at this game, boom, immediately brain went, or gut went. We don't go with the brain, we go with the gut. The gut said, Texas A&M, -1. Basically a toss-up to me, and also looking at the stats and basically the trends in this game, it confirmed to me that Texas A&M, they have taken care of the ball better than Missouri has this year. So I think Texas A&M wins this football game. I'm not sure how much, but that's what the gut tells me. We go with Texas A&M. Next game up, Syracuse at number 25 UNLV. And you're saying, Ian, wasn't Texas A&M just number 25? Well, there was a tie in the AP poll. They are both number 25 in the country. I'm going to take a sip here from the patented mug. Okay, UNLV. If you have not been following college football, I blame you. You should be following college football, whether it's this show, any other show. Follow college football. UNLV's quarterback basically quit on the team. He didn't get paid his NIL money. And a lot of the players were like, hey, it's about time Hodge Williams is the quarterback. Hodge is their backup quarterback. It's about time. It's about time he's our quarterback now. And sure enough, he went out there and had the best quarterback performance of a UNLV quarterback all year. So somehow UNLV got rid of their starting quarterback and got better. Typically you get rid of your starting quarterback and you get worse significantly. UNLV seemingly has gotten better significantly. All of that has led to looking at this game, and the gut said UNLV immediately minus the 4.5. I don't care. Syracuse, really good squad, really good, really well coached team with Fran Brown up there. However, I think this comes down to Hodge and his legs and his arm. I like UNLV. I like the Rebels in this one. However, Kyle McCord, This is going to be the best quarterback that UNLV has faced all year. They faced some good quarterbacks, but Kyle McCord is the best one they faced. So watch out for that in this game. Next one up, the Hoosiers of Indiana at Northwestern. Northwestern playing on a practice field over there at Lake Michigan in Chicago. It is I'm not sure how this is a Division One program doing this in the middle of a season. It's ridiculous, but I guess Kansas Jayhawks are playing at 35 different stadiums for their home games this year. So that's besides the point. This is Indiana Hoosiers all the way. Their head coach, Kirk Cignetti, he may not be the head coach there the rest of the season. He may have an SEC football job by the end of the year. I'm not sure, but it would not shock me. The guy is incredible, incredible. But I like Indiana minus the 13.5. Doesn't matter. SMU Ponies at Louisville Cardinals -7 for Louisville. Really, the game against Notre Dame, Fighting Irish for Louisville, did not go according to plan. Obviously, they lost. However, the game script was kind of off. There were several plays that just didn't go Louisville's way that would lead to them winning the game if they had. Obviously, Ian, you're saying that if some plays went Louisville's way, they would win. Obviously, duh. So those plays happened and they lost. However, there's a thing called game script, okay? A typical game script. Louisville's game did not play out that way. And that's why they lost. Now, are we going to get a typical game script against SMU? I'm not sure. That's the thing about college football. You never have a typical game script for the most part. And that's why teams lose when you think, hey, this team's not going to lose. Hence, Notre Dame, Fighting Irish, and Northern Illinois. That was not a typical game script. You don't get that. Alabama, Georgia, not a typical game script. In this game, I'm not sure if we're going to get it or not. However, the gut told me SMU plus the 7. I'm not sure if they're going to win. I'm not sure if they're going to get blown out. But what I am sure of is that they're going to cover the 7 points because that's what the gut has told me. Brett Lashley has got that squad rolling, and I like them in this football game. SMU coming off a big-time win against Florida State, and I'm sorry, Florida State fans, but you should just quit this year. I wouldn't even watch my team if that was the product they were putting out on the field. SMU plus the 7 against Louisville. Utah State at Boise State. Ashton GT probably, we're going to do something new here. We're going to predict his stats every single game because it's fun. He's going to rush for 200. I'm going to write this down so I don't forget. He's going to rush for 234 yards, 234, and 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. And if that happens, it's Boise State all the way. The gut was already telling me that, but Ashton Ginty, 234 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Book it. Baylor at Iowa State. Cyclones all the way. Borderline top 10 team, in my opinion, the Cyclones. Defense really, really solid. Rocco Becht finally starting to get things going, okay? I like the Cyclones in this one. Clemson at Florida State. Look, I was just talking about Florida State. Sad year to be a Florida State fan. Sad. Really, honestly, last 2 years you go undefeated, don't make the college football playoff, and now you're 1-4 through the first 5 weeks of the football season. It's not even October yet, and you've lost 4 football games. I would not want to be a Seminole fan. What I would want to do is bet on Clemson in this game. -15 all day, every day. Ole Miss, -9 at South Carolina. Keyword there, at South Carolina. Williams-Brice Stadium, Columbia, South Carolina. I'm not sure if it's underwater or not. PSA. Pray for those in South Carolina, North Carolina. Hurricane Helene, big-time hurricane. Big-time hurricane. Okay, going to take a sip here. Ole Miss at South Carolina. Just like the first big preview we did earlier in this video, one of these teams is coming off of a bye, while the other one is coming off a hard-fought game. Now, unlike A&M, Ole Miss lost that hard-fought game, but you get the point. South Carolina is the team coming off of a bye week, okay? To me, immediately, this screams Ole Miss bounce back, okay? There's this thing in college football where a team disappoints. Extremely disappointing game from Ole Miss against Kentucky. 17.5-point favorite. Should have won. Should have blown them out the building. They didn't. We predicted that in the what if poll from the Ian Fritts show here. And it was just an extremely disappointing game. They got pushed around for 60 straight minutes. Lane Kiffin didn't have an explanation after the football game for what Mark Stoops did on that 4th and 7, converting a long pass, basically putting the game away for Kentucky. He basically said, I was tricked. I got tricked on the national stage in front of the entire world. An old man tricked me. And that's what happened to Ole Miss. Now, while that was happening to Ole Miss, South Carolina, they were kicked back, relaxed, watching the game, enjoying it, saying, "Hey, this is the top 10 team that was supposed to come to Williams-Brice Stadium next week and beat us. This team is supposed to beat us next week." Okay. Um, what what is happening in college football right now? South Carolina is not ranked, ladies and gentlemen. They're not ranked. The only loss they have is to LSU and the Zebras, striped Zebras. The striped Zebras are what we call the referees on this show. And I say LSU and the striped Zebras because if you watch that football game, South Carolina did everything they could to win that game, and the refs took it away. So that's their only loss, and they're not ranked in the top 25. I am baffled by this. South Carolina is a really, really good football team, and I'm just going to throw it up there already. The gut screamed immediately. I mean, it was jumping out of my body on this one. South Carolina +9, hammer at home, hammer at home, hammer at home. Now, I know I led this with this screams Ole Miss bounce back game, and it does. However, this also screams Dylan Stewart, Kennard off the edge, 15 sacks in one game. Now, 15 sacks in one game, probably not going to happen, but I can see them getting 5 because both of those dudes on the edge are that good. Okay. Now, what do the numbers say in this game? I already told you what the gut says. So if you want to tune out the numbers, that's fine. But some of you like the numbers, so I'm giving them to you. Okay, Ole Miss, 40th in the country in turnover margin. USC Junior, aka South Carolina, 31st in turnover margin in the country. Basically equal. I don't. Both have been relatively average at creating turnovers, also relatively average at giving the ball to the other team. Now, another thing to watch for in this game, this isn't numbers, but this is injury for South Carolina. Quarterback Lenore Sellers, running back Rocket Sanders, both questionable. Both were not healthy coming out of their last football game. Lenore Sellers didn't even play in that game. So they had a bye week. Hopefully they got healthy for South Carolina's sake because I think they will need both of them in order to cover this 9 points for South Carolina. Watch that leading up to this weekend and make sure you pay attention if those guys are healthy. Explosive offense, Ole Miss. They were an explosive offense until they faced a Kentucky defense. That Kentucky defense had South Carolina contained when they played South Carolina, but not as much as they contained Ole Miss, okay? The defense for South Carolina has limited explosive plays. It was a rarity. Even against LSU, there were several plays that were explosive, but there weren't 5 or 6 in that game, okay? Ole Miss, that was their calling card this year. Just long play after long play after long play, scoring 75 points in the first 4 games. That didn't happen against Kentucky. Now, is that Kentucky just having one of the best defenses in the country? I think so. Or is that Ole Miss just, they're actually not that good? I don't think so. Now, they're going against a South Carolina defense, which I don't think is as physical as Kentucky. However, I think they're faster, and I think they have better talent on the back end to cover these Ole Miss wide receivers, specifically Trey Harris, who is going to be a first-round draft pick this year. Okay? Now, quarterback, Ole Miss. He hasn't been sacked much this year. Jackson Dart, the offensive line has done a good job protecting him, but he's going up against one of the best defensive lines in all of college football. A defensive line that I see lists of defensive lines that are the best in the country, and South Carolina is consistently not in the top 10. And to me, they're top 4 defensive line in all of college football from what I've seen, and I've watched a lot of defensive lines this year. I've watched a lot of college football. I know what I'm talking about here, okay? They're one of the best in the country. They are one of the best in the country. I think they're going to pin their ears back and come after Jackson Dart, and I think that's how they're going to win this football game. Do I think they're going to win? I'm not sure, but I know they are going to cover this 9 points. Give me South Carolina all day long. Next one up, USC, -9.5 at Minnesota. Golden Gophers, underrated mascot. Golden Gophers. It's not just a gopher. You know, they could have easily been the Minnesota Gophers, but they're the Minnesota Golden Gophers, okay? And I like the Golden Gophers in this game, not to win, but to cover. Give me the Golden Gophers in this one. Michigan at Washington. It's already on screen. We like Washington in this one. Now, Washington is favored against a top 10 team at home. Rematch of the national championship. Obviously, neither of these teams are the same, or they would be top 4 in the country if they were the exact same. They're not. Washington, somehow, some way, I think they're going to find a way to win this football game. I don't know how. I don't know why, but that's what the gut told me. So give me Washington -2. Missouri, Texas A&M. We already talked about it. Miami at Cal. Taking a sip here. This one, the gut screamed at me, and it screamed Cal. And this is where College Game Day is going to be. They're not going to be calling the game. Kirk Herbstreit is not going to call this football game, but that is where the atmosphere is going to be. So I would expect those Cal fans to show up and show up big time. However, it is going to be 6 a.m. when they are live on the West Coast there for this game because game day goes live at 8 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern, which would be 6 a.m. on the West Coast. Now, this is a night game, 9:30 Central Time, 6:30 West Coast Time, which would mean those fans for Cal are going to have to be there for 12 hours unless they go home, which I don't think they would. If they're smart, they should stay and tailgate the entire day and keep that atmosphere up. Okay, that's how they're going to win this game. I don't think they're going to win, but the gut told me they're going to cover, so we're going to go with Cal. Miami coming off a game they probably should have lost against Virginia Tech if it wasn't for the refs making one of the dumbest calls I've ever seen. So give me the Golden Bears. UCLA at Penn State -28.5. UCLA. UCLA is not a good football team. And some of you are wondering, Ian, they're not a good football team. Penn State's a really good football team, top 10 in the country. Why in the world would you go with UCLA? Well, I haven't gone with UCLA the last few weeks, and it's bitten me. Somehow, some way, the line has been around 28 for UCLA the past few weeks, and I picked the team going against UCLA to cover that 28, and they haven't. And the gut told me immediately, boom, UCLA, hey, listen. We're not very good, but we cover. Michigan State at Oregon is Oregon all day long. Dylan Gabriel, second in the history of college football in total yards. Incredible stuff. He's just going to rack up more yards against this Michigan State defense they couldn't stop a nosebleed if that's what their job was supposed to do. It's abysmal defense from Michigan State right now. Auburn, Georgia, didn't even have to give you suspense on this one. Auburn is in shambles. Georgia, not in shambles, but I expect them to bounce back big time from Alabama, -23.5. Give me Georgia. Give me the dogs. Tennessee at Arkansas. It's Arkansas all day, every day, plus the 14 night game. This is a night game. Arkansas is one of the hardest places to play, one of the loudest places to play. I expect those fans to show up. Not going to win, but they cover. Iowa at Ohio State, -20.5 for Ohio State. Some people think this is the best team in the country. I think this weekend shows us why they are not the best team in the country because Iowa somehow is going to cover. Not sure how. They're not going to win, but they will cover. Alabama at Vanderbilt. Alabama, I think they're going to be riding a high from the best game in all of college football this past weekend against Georgia. I think they're going to ride a high. And I can't believe this graphic is even showing up. I have a green circle around Vanderbilt when they're playing Alabama. Two programs that have been on the complete opposite spectrums of college football for the past 10 years. Vanderbilt, one of the worst teams the past 10 years in college football. Alabama, the best. And I'm picking Vanderbilt against the spread. What is going on in the world of college football? Vanderbilt, they're not the worst team in the country anymore. Alabama's still the best. But I like Vanderbilt to cover the 24 points. That, ladies and gentlemen, is all of the picks for week 6. Hopefully, we can add to this record of 63, 32, and 1, and we can keep building weeks. We can keep building winning weeks. That's all we need to do here to win money. You just build winning weeks and you win money. So hopefully, you are following along with these picks and you're winning money. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not subscribed, click down below. Click the subscribe button. Grab your girlfriend, mom's phone, whoever it is, dad's phone, brother's phone, dog's phone, I'm not sure, and subscribe. Comment down below that you enjoyed this video, and I will respond. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap.
45, 50, 45. There goes Davis.